MAGA, and especially Tiny Fingers, loves to pretend they understand economics. But all you have to know is this: 6. Trump bankrupted 6 businesses, including 2 casinos, which is impossible to do unless you're skimming or you're an idiot, or both.
They had what?
So over the last year, we've had to endure more of the same old bullshit.
We built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
But not only is that untrue, Trump has been schooled by China, Europe, and now our once good friends to the north, Canada. And man, does that make Pouty Fuckwinkle's ass hurt. So now, on the eve of the World Series between the Toronto Blue Jays of Canada and the Los Angeles Dodgers, Trump is freaking out. Tiny Finger said today he was terminating trade talks with Canada, our second biggest trading partner. Why? Well, Tiny Finger said he canceled the talks in response to an ad Canada released last week. They released the ad in response to Trump's tariffs. It featured audio from a speech by Ronald Reagan criticizing tariffs on foreign goods. Now, here's what Trump had to say about the ad.
Canada cheated and got caught. They fraudulently took a big buy ad saying Ronald Reagan did not like tariffs, when actually he loved tariffs for our country and its national security. Canada's trying to illegally influence the United States Supreme Court in one of the most important rulings in the history of our country. Canada's long cheated on tariffs, charging our farmers as much as 400%.
That's a lie, but go ahead.
Now they and other countries can't take advantage of the U.S. any longer. Thank you to the Ronald Reagan Foundation for exposing this fraud. Make America great again.
What a bitch. But Donnie, you big fucking liar, this is the ad.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
And here are Reagan's exact words.
And it was on April 25th, 1987, radio address. It's on YouTube. And I have absolutely no idea what the Reagan Foundation is talking about, because those words in that Canadian ad were directly from that April 25th, 1987 address that is up on YouTube.
Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
As a quick aside, Reagan, the Republican that used to be the bellwether for conservatives, was also pro-immigration and pro-amnesty.
They're rapists.
I believe in the idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though some time back they may have entered illegally.
Oh yeah, and one more. He hated the Russians.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Found in an appropriate
did you want
legal
President
framework.
Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Trump's shit fit follows news that inflation only rose 3% in September, which is lower than what the experts were expecting. So the question is, can we trust the numbers that Trump gives us?
This is a story about trust, maybe the most important thing underlying the markets. Last December, we told you about major problems facing the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the body that publishes those all-important jobs numbers each month. Those problems got much worse when Donald Trump fired the agency's head last month.
You might not have heard of Revelio Labs, but they know an awful lot about the U.S. economy. Ben Zweig is the company's CEO.
We're a workforce data company, so we collect data from the public web, so anything that's online. And that could be public professional profiles, online job postings. We gather that data, we curate it, we standardize it, we enrich it, and then we ultimately sell that data.
Revelio's main audience is hedge funds and private firms looking for another perspective on the economy, beyond what's offered by government agencies. But things changed after an ugly July jobs report.
We got a very disappointing number here, and this is going to get Wall Street's attention. 73,000 jobs created.
President Donald Trump claimed, without evidence, that the numbers were biased and ousted the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I believe the numbers were phony, just like they were before the election, and there were other times. So you know what I did? I fired her. Right. And you know what? I did the right thing. We need people that we can trust.
We were really, really shocked when this happened. You know, maybe there's some concern that whoever leads it gets the message that, you know, if the numbers don't match a certain narrative, they might be out of a job.
But this isn't new. Trump uses his position to get himself and his friends rich by manipulating information and profiting from the timing. And tariffs were a great way to do it. Ask Dairy Queen.
Members of Congress are required to report their financial holdings, and new data shows Representative Green bought stock in Lululemon. Dell, Amazon, and the parent company of Restoration Hardware last week, all of which were down about 40% because of President Trump's tariff threats. Stocks then surged after President Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs. Just hours before that announcement, he posted on Truth Social that it was a, quote, great time to buy.
Anyway, so what you have here is yet another attack on the American people who, along with the Canadian people, will be hurt by these tariffs. Because tariffs are tax. Everyone but Trump will tell you that.
Tariffs. To me, I think it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary. More beautiful than love.
Trump uses these tariffs not for the American people, but to enrich himself. And his attack on China with 100% tariffs, not so good.
In terms, though, of where this all heads, this idea that the president says first he's going to put these big tariffs on, then says it's all going to be fine. If you're an official in China, President Xi or otherwise, you think what?
I'm feeling like I have a pretty strong hand if I'm in Beijing now. I think these tariff threats have become less and less impactful, and I don't think Beijing is taking them as seriously. And today's trade data coming out of China just underscores that Beijing is becoming less dependent on the U.S. market and exporting a lot more to the rest of the world.
But there's more. Macroeconomics is not calculus, but it does take an understanding that Trump does not possess. The former head of the Fed, Janet Yellen, she said Trump couldn't get the concept. She tried to tell him the world economy was like trying to stop an aircraft carrier on a dime, and his eyes just glazed over. But it's not just tiny fingers. Most of MAGA is clueless. Here's Senator John Kennedy with a technical explanation of tariffs, inflation, and the macroeconomy.
Tariffs are like whiskey. A little whiskey under the right circumstances can be refreshing. Too much whiskey under the wrong circumstances, and you end up drunk as a goat.
But for anyone who graduated junior high, it's pretty easy. And the numbers indicate Republicans are starting to get the picture.
How about among Republicans, the Republican base? This was a shocker to me. 64% of Republicans believe that tariffs will, in fact, cause prices to go up.
Look, if you tell China they have to pay the government $100 on the thing that they were going to sell here for $100, they're going to either raise the price for us or sell it somewhere else. But Trump rejoices in the fact that his uneducated base, his words, trusts his interpretations of the economy, which is kind of like hiring a mechanic to do your colonoscopy. There is no question that Trump's continued tariffs are destined to wreck our economy. But still, Trump continues to lie, and his people continue to believe.
Who pays the tariffs? The Chinese government pays the tariff. No, they don't. Yes, they do.
I want to say, I'm an importer and exporter for 20 years.
Okay.
When a product comes into the U.S., there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay.
I, as the buyer of that product, follow U.S. law and pay the tariff. I'm an American citizen, I'm an American taxpayer. I pay that tariff to the U.S. government, and that increase in the cost of the product, I then sell to you for a higher price because I've got to cover that tariff.
And what about our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here?
So tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. So, for example, you might say, you want to sell us your beans, right?
Yeah.
We are going to give you a low tariff if you buy our corn. But the cost of the tariff is ultimately always borne by the consumer.
Don't you think at the end of the day there may be more competition within the market of the U.S. government?
You're confusing the question. This is not a question of competition. The point we're discussing is who bears the cost of the tariff.
Oh, and one last thing. The World Series kicks off tonight, and it features the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And in this moment where this great game brings together two countries with over 200 years of friendship and alliance, we instead have this twat waffle creating hate and animosity. So to Canada, I say good luck in the series, and yes, we hate him too.
I kept my underwear on.
I'm very excited about that. I think the president is definitely f***ing Satan.
You're a nasty person.
Go fuck yourself.
Goddamn right. They know how to get to me. A witch hunt.
Suck my fat one.
They had what?
Who you talking to?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am
I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage.
I'm Chip Franklin.